the petitions pertaining to the illegal bullfights, the tiger reserve, and she's also been a former member of the Animal Welfare Board of India and a former member of the committee to supervise control of experiments on animals. In addition to that, she's also the current member of the Goa State Board of Animal Welfare. I would like to please call our senior advocate Norma Alvarez.
Very well, Suman. Fantastic speech. Huh?
Project the bomb.
Only the page will open. Raja is coming up.
Yeah. So as I was walking up, I met Datta Lavande who said, "So Norma, your favorite topic?" Well, I have lots of favorite topics, but animal welfare certainly is one of them. I am not your main speaker. I am just giving you the appendix, so to speak, uh, a short kind of prelude to what your the guest speaker, Meet Ashar. Very interesting name, isn't it? Uh, his name is Meet, uh, who will speak to you on what lawyers can do. See, most people like animals. Very rare you will find someone who says, I hate animals. Everybody likes animals. We like them in theory. We like all animals in theory. But we are not comfortable necessarily with being around them or being around us. We are happy to view them on a TV screen, Animal Planet, Jungle Book, whatever. We're even very happy to view them if they are behind bars somewhere, as in you go to a zoo and you can see the animals, whatever they are doing. Or we don't mind even if we are behind bars. As in we sit in a jeep, nicely barred, and we go on a safari to the wild animals and you know that they are in some place. So we want to see them, we want to view them, but we want to keep our distance from them. We want to be safe from them. And when you want to be safe from someone, do we really like animals? Can we really say we like them as we like our friends, who we want them to be around us. We don't want them to be at a distance and only WhatsApp them. We want to meet at times. But we necessarily don't want to meet animals. And why is that? We are brought up from our childhood to believe in clean, sanitized surroundings. Everything must be clean. We should not have any dirt around us. Wash your hands, etc. is dinged into us from the time we are children. And earth and mud are associated with dirt. And when we see animals enjoying the earth and the mud and wallowing in it, if you see chickens ever, they have a bath in the mud. They fluff their feathers and clean themselves sitting in the mud. Dogs will roll in the mud given half a chance. Wild animals, pigs, all of them will wallow in what we call dirty water and so on. So the sight of the animals doing things that we are taught to believe is unclean, unhygienic, makes us believe that they are somehow a lower species and that we are civilized. We are at the top. They are somehow down. We are not on the same level. If you think about it, we call ourselves civilized, but white people think we are uncivilized when we eat with our fingers. Recall a recent statement of Donald Trump somewhere that they are eating with their hands. We are uncivilized. So it's a matter of perception. But are we really supposedly a superior species who we should treat lower species any way that they like? We don't like the smell of animals. We don't like our own smell, so we put enough perfume on ourselves so that our own smell doesn't go somewhere else. So we are very careful about all these kind of things, and we don't like animals. We don't like the way they eat. They eat as though they are hungry. We are hungry, but we want to eat very carefully, and so on. They mate and procreate in public. They don't bother, and so on. And so we have a lot of derogatory expressions associated with animals, which reinforces this distance and this superiority of ourselves to animals. Take, for instance, sly as a fox, cunning as a wolf, snake in the grass. Somebody says that girl is a snake in the grass. Means she said one thing one time, does something another time. Forget about dirty pig, lazy dog. Hair-brained scheme. That means the crackpot scheme. Why bring the hair into it? Hair and the tortoise, maybe, I don't know. Ratting out on someone. Cheating, telling somebody, giving someone's name. Beastly behavior. All these try to show that somehow the animals are wild creatures. And we try to avoid them. There are one or two good expressions which we have, which is say, pure as a dove. That is a Christian influence. You know, there's the Holy Spirit comes as a dove and so on. So we don't want to attack the dove and say that the chips on our head, so to speak. Anyway, we are therefore predisposed to think poorly of animals. And when we are predisposed from birth, we dislike it when they get in our way. Where do they get in our way? Street dogs. They get in our way. Snakes. They come into our homes. If you live in the countryside like I do, the snakes are around. You get afraid of them because you see them, but otherwise they are there sitting on your roof, the back of your garden, and so on. Wild boar. Farmers are always complaining that wild boar are attacking them. I think recently there was this incident where somebody had put an electric fence and two guys who were cutting grass got electrocuted because to prevent wild boar from attacking the crops. Even peacocks, my own neighbors, we have these fields close by, and I've seen the peacocks come in droves sometimes down the hill, and they, attack this groundnut crop, which is they just pick it up and finish it off. So peacocks, take bird, etc., but not particularly liked by even the farmers. So we believe when we see stray dogs or these animals, they have no business being over there. What's their business on the road where we are sending our children to school, where we are walking, and so on? Sometimes feel the same way towards human beings, lesser creatures, street children, beggars, people in distress. We think that they're lazy, they don't work, and that's why they are in the state that they are. It carries forward. But for a moment, are we willing to consider, as Simon said, that humans are basically part of the same mammalian species? We are human animals. We don't say that, but that's what we are. We breathe air like them. We hunger and thirst. We mate. We procreate. We fall ill. Nature has a whole lot of plants which can deal with our illnesses. But we have forgotten what they are. Maybe our grandmothers knew. We have forgotten what they are. We can't recognize them. And anyway, we'd rather that some pharmaceutical company distills those plants, puts them into some little pill, and then we swallow them. See the antisepticness that we want. We don't want to go and touch a plant. Factory, we say. This will say scratchers. We don't want to go in the mud, and so on. Like animals, they suffer too. We die, they die, we disintegrate, we all become part of the same world. So, if we consider ourselves as human animals, we would soon realize that a big part of our problem today is that we are not willing to share our space with them. Whatever our space, this country, this planet, this city, this state. We are not willing to share the space with. We forget that we have encroached upon their territory. We created community. The dogs were roaming there before. It was an open land. It was what you would call barren land sometimes. But there were animals there. We buy the plot, we put a wall around it, we colonize it, and then we say we don't want any of these animals there. We want them to be all got rid of because we have our swimming pool, we have our walks, we have our children, we have our old people, we have whatever, whatever. So we keep driving the animals further and further, not just with gated complexes, with our road and rail networks, our highways, our airports, all these are on what we call barren land. Nothing happening there. The whole biodiversity is there. The animals who live there, the birds, the plants, the insects, all of them overnight are chased back because the humans have decided to occupy them. We even now want ecotourism projects in the wildlife sanctuary. This morning I argued against it, saying that you want to go to the wildlife sanctuary and see how the animals are, but you want to throw an electric fence around your 10, 12 huts so that the animals don't come inside that. It's like going into somebody's house and then saying that, well, this part of the house, you people don't enter because we are sitting here. How does that feel? The wildlife sanctuaries is just a 4% space of the whole country. And that's kept for the animals. You want to go there, fine, go. But don't say that you can't have animals coming there. Anyway, once the animals are driven further and further from the spaces where they are, what is the natural reaction if you are cornered somewhere? You attack. You come down, you eat their food, you do things like cows eating from plastic bags with a tandoori chicken inside. No cow is non-vegetarian, but they eat what they get. So they don't get food otherwise. They're just roaming around on the roads. Our garbage bins are so filled to capacity. So humans then retaliate. You throw the stones on the floor. You want your child to go safely to school. I don't deny that for a moment. I don't deny. I'm only pointing out that these situations arise because animals are driven out from all our spaces. More and more spaces are good. So humans retaliate, and the consequences human animal conflict. And along with it often comes cruelty to animals, which our constitution prohibits. We are not permitted to be cruel to animals, following our long tradition of non-violence. Coming from the Buddha, Mahavir Jain, Mahatma Gandhi said the greatness of a nation is measured by the way we treat the lowest of our creatures. This is our tradition. This is our history. And this is why we are not America. This is why we are not other European countries which incarcerate a dog, keep it for 3 days and eliminate it and nobody comes to clean it. We do not want to do that. This is where lawyers come in. Human lawyers are trained to represent people in conflict, neighbors fighting each other, whatever, somebody in distress. But we can also represent the animal world, human beings who stand up for animal rights. Basically, the right to life and the right to a dignified life. For people who want to prevent a video, because it is not dignified to ask one bull to fight another bull against whom he has no conflict. Bulls do fight. They fight for territory. They fight for a female. They fight for many things. But they don't simply fight for your entertainment. And there are people who want to prevent this from happening. And as lawyers, we can get such people to represent them in whatever fora. Or people who want to take the case, for example, of an animal who's tied up all day, a pet dog, tied up all day with no access to food or water. People want to say this is cruel. They need someone to represent them. people who treat their pets cruelly, people who simply hurt animals. There are numerous ways in which we as lawyers can help animals, at least as a first step, if not directly, but we can help them through humans who want to advocate for them. How we can do it is what Meet Asher is going to do. Thank you.
5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Well, thank you, Senior Advocate Norma Alvarez, for that very relatable and insightful introduction to the topic. As is evident from the speech that was given by the Senior Advocate Norma Alvarez, never disappoints with their unique style and wit. And now to the moment we've all been waiting for. We have with us a distinguished personality, Mr. Meet Usher. Meet Usher dons multiple hats. He's not just a lawyer, he's also an animal rights advocate with over 15 years of experience working in the field of prevention of cruelty to animals, in the field of law enforcement and sensitization and training in animal protection laws, legal and policy issues concerning animals. He heads India's Cruelty Response Division. He has also known he's also worked as a part-time law professor, principal resource person from lecturing for the certificate program on animal protection laws. Meet is skilled in animal protection laws, law enforcement and training on animal protection rules. He is featured in the coveted Forbes India Top 100 Digital Star 2024 for being a change maker through his work in animal rights. He's at the forefront of the initiative to strengthen India's age-old and redundant animal protection laws by working with influencers, celebrities, and the government to amend and strengthen the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1960. And I'm sure that nobody is here to listen to me ramble on and on, so I will now call upon our guest speaker to shed light on this topic.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you to Senior Advocate Norma Alvarez and all distinguished members of the bar present here. I also thank Gemini Shettigar for taking this initiative and for making this happen. She's been telling me every time I come to Goa that I need you to come to the Bar Association and before inform me, your schedule is so hectic. So this time I made it a point to inform her in advance. This is my fourth visit to Goa in just 1 year, and all of which for work related things. Earlier we did the training cum sensitization of animal protection laws to the police, for the animal husbandry department. Then we also had sessions recently on PDO after Senior Advocate Norma Alvarez's contempt petition in the Bombay High Court Goa bench. The collectors took the matter seriously, constituted a special task force. And a part of the SOP was to train and sensitize the Amdatars, the Karatis, the police on how to prevent and take stringent action against bullfighting to set a deterrent. So I just did that this morning for the North Goa Collectorate on Monday, that is the 8th of September for the South Goa Collectorate. I would like to talk to all of you about, of course, what you can do as lawyers to join in this cause of, I would call it animal rights. Some people prefer to call it animal liberation. And just like human rights, you don't have to be a lover of humans to be able to campaign or sort of believe in human rights. Similarly, you don't have to be an animal lover to believe or champion or propagate or support the cause of animal rights. Animals are a part of our society, and like we expect, and which is a good thing, which is what we have normalized, that fellow human beings, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, what race they belong to, what is the economic strata, should all be treated with equality. That's what even our constitution requires, and that's something we have been trying to practice more and more with, change and the modernization in society. But the same thing is not practiced towards animals. We have normalized to our education the killing of certain animals for our consumption and the compassion towards certain animals, which we call as species. It is for Jativad, like how people differentiate based on somebody's past or religion. We have been taught since childhood that Jativad is wrong. You should not, differentiate between people based on caste, but do that to animals, which is called speciesism. We differentiate, we say a dog is worthy of compassion, but a chicken can be killed and eaten. And while the law may allow that, the law is only a reflection of who we are as a society. The law reforms the way the society reforms and what the society demands. The law is nothing but a mere reflection of society. So the law, the legality of certain things may be one thing and the morality may be one. Always what is legal may not also be morally and ethically right. So I think as a society, we must reflect on how animal rights must become an integral part of something that is already there. For example, Article 21, so many constitutional rights which the Supreme Court through judicial activism transformed into right to pollution-free environment. Now, earlier when Chief Justice of India, Dr. B.Y. Chandrachud was there was a right to, right from ill effects of climate change, which was also spoken about. So these kind of rights were not existing when the Constitution was made. It has all been read down through judicial activism and which happened at the behest of lawyers. Judicial activism didn't happen on its own. Lawyers initiated those cases in court, argued the matters, produced some thought-provoking arguments for judges to think upon and reflect as to whether this is something that does need consideration. For example, legalization of Jallikattu, bull races, or Kambala by a five-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court is a dark day in the history of this country. A two-judge bench of the Supreme Court tried to regulate this sport. As some of you may already be aware of this, the Jallikattu infamous case. When the regulation failed, the Supreme Court appointed inspection committees to go and inspect Jallikattus and submit reports. And the reports were shocking for Supreme Court judges. And the Supreme Court felt this is hopeless, we can't regulate it, which is when a complete ban was imposed. And then came into the role of states amending a central legislation, the central government supporting it for whatever reasons, the amendment receiving presidential assent, being challenged in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has noted in its five-judge constitution judgment that we are not denying cruelty. There is cruelty in Jallikattu, there is cruelty in bull races, and there is cruelty in Kambala. But this is necessary cruelty because the state has said this is necessary to protect the culture and tradition. At what cost does one protect or preserve the culture and tradition? At the cost of animals? And I wouldn't say animals who cannot speak. They speak. But like senior advocate Verma Anwaris also said, their voices often go unheard. We cannot hear them or we choose to not hear them. So I think as lawyers, if we come together, we participate in these kind of decision making. For example, recently what you may have seen, very controversial case again, and I hate to cite controversy, but I think those are cases through which we learn about elephant Mahadevi or Madhuri from Kolhapur. I think everybody knows about it. And the Bombay High Court, rightly so, said that a man's right to use an animal for cultural or traditional or religious purposes is not about the animal's right to live a dignified life. This is what a division bench of the Bombay High Court has said while ruling that Mahadevi should be sent to Antara for rehabilitation and cannot remain with the Jain temple because of her impending health condition where she had grade 4 arthritis, foot rot, and also a lot of depression related problems. For people who may not know, back in 2017, Mahadevi or Madhuri killed the main temple priest, the chief priest of the temple, by constantly hitting him, holding him from the trunk and bashing him on the wall till he died. Now, she did not do this for fun or because she wanted to take some revenge. She did it out of sheer frustration. Imagine an elephant at the inner age of 3 years being brought into a temple and being kept there for 34 years. Can you imagine yourself being chained to a metal chain all the time? The only time you're taken out is for begging for money or for food or for a Muharram procession or for some kind of a procession for which the temple gets paid lakhs of rupees. Can you imagine a life where you're only standing on concrete, where you have no contact with fellow human beings? She never had any sort of contact or any sort of bonding with any other elephant for 37 years of her life. How would we feel if we were subjected to that? And that's exactly what, and I'm so glad at two women judges. And I say so, uh, women are more empathetic, and that's the fact. Whether you agree with me or not, that's what I feel. Two women judges of the Bombay High Court have done what I don't think otherwise could have happened. The matter went to Supreme Court, of course, the Supreme Court did not even go into the depth of it. The Supreme Court said "No, the High Court has taken an informed decision. There have been 4 rounds of back and forth which have happened from the High Powered Committee to the High Court to the High Powered Committee, now back to the High Court. We are not getting into this, and there's no reason for us to interfere. Rather, you move her out from there immediately. A team of people who had gone from PETA were attacked, and one of our team members suffered a ribcage fracture as well. The point of telling you all of this is that these battles are not easy, and some battles do come at the cost of being threatened, heckled, physically harmed. But we have to do what we have to do for a cause that we truly and strongly believe in. Because if we are not going to speak up for animals, then who is going to do that? And I think it starts like, okay, what you can do as a lawyer or as any ordinary human being, also the first thing, and I would urge you to look deep into your heart and really give this a thought. I'm nobody to tell you what to eat, what not to eat. The Constitution gives you that right. But like I said a few moments earlier, that what may be legal may not necessarily be morally and ethically right. We are in 2025 today, where we have so many alternative options available, and it's, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, it's completely unnecessary to kill animals for our consumption. So the least we can do, each individual, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, a professor, whoever you are, you can simply live a vegan lifestyle and save 200 animals every day. You don't have to fight for them in court. You don't have to go on the streets protesting for them. You don't have to go to a police station. You don't have to do nothing. You just have to not eat them. Just let them be. Not wear them. Not eat them. Leather, wool, silk, these kind of things that we use, they come from an animal who was once alive. And it's a myth when people say, oh, leather comes from the animals which are dead. No, please go and look deeper and you will know the demand of leather is so much that animals are actually slaughtered for their skin. If we get a small cut on our hand, we immediately want to put a bandage so that it doesn't become a big wound or it doesn't get infected. Imagine an animal being slaughtered. If you don't believe me, go visit a slaughterhouse. Go check videos of how animals are slaughtered in slaughterhouses. Most of them are killed while they are fully conscious. And for what? Because they were not born as dogs. If they were born as dogs or cats, we would be probably petting them or at least probably killing them. But the only fault is they are not born as dogs and cats. So I urge you once again to, give this a considered thought that how you can, at least to begin with, not contribute to the pain and suffering of these animals. That's the least we can do. Not use things which are made from animal skin, not consume animals, not use products which are tested on animals. These are basic things which all of us can do in our lives to not harm them, right? So I think if we can do that, I think that's half battle won there with us making a sea of a change for those 200 animals every single year. For you, it may just be not eating meat, and by the way, since I'm in Goa, this is so relevant. Goan cuisine is by default so vegan. Everything here is made using coconut and coconut milk. There's no use of dairy as such. So if you are having your authentic Goan food, removing meat from it, everything is by default vegan. So you don't really have to go looking for the substitute. Soya bean is rich in protein. There are pulses, legumes rich in protein. There's tofu, which is so healthy as compared to paneer, which is lower in fat, higher in protein, inexpensive, 60 rupees for 250 grams, whereas you would get a paneer block probably 100, 120 rupees, 250 grams. So it's a win-win economically, health-wise, and of course, for animals also. So whether you bring in other aspects or not, just for the sake of animals, I think that's the least we owe to them, which is to let them be. Now, about how you get involved as lawyers is to probably help organizations, and I've taken the liberty to invite some members of the North Goa SPCA here. And just today, while I finished the North Goa Collectorate training, we got an email about this cat which was shot with a gun in Hapsa. 3 bullets were found inside the body of this cat, and unfortunately, the cat did not make it. She suffered for 10 days before she finally passed away today. And of course, they're doing what they can to, get an FIR registered and all of those things. But lawyers do play a very important role because what happens is most of these FIRs just, they're just one of the many thousands of cases that go on in court. I'll give you a classic example of what a lawyer did in Delhi, and hopefully that should, motivate you and give you a perspective on how you can be involved. There was this case from Delhi of a dog on whom acid was thrown by a senior citizen. And this dog lost one eye completely because of the acid attack. There's a lawyer who got involved with this NGO who had gone and got the FIR registered. And she started tracking the progress of this case since the day the FIR was registered. So she made sure that within 90 days, the charge sheet was filed by the investigating officer. That was step one. Then she monitored the trial of this case in court. She was present at every hearing to ensure there were no unnecessary adjournments, that the public prosecutor was truly doing his or her job in the matter. And then finally, after 2 years of trial, this person accused was convicted under Section 429 of the Indian Penal Code and sentenced to 1 year jail and a fine of 10,000 rupees. This is an example as to what a lawyer can do, how you can truly and actually help bring people who abuse animals to justice. By being involved, by being supportive of local groups, local activists who work in Goa, get cases registered, provide them support, inputs. A lot of people do not even know that after an FIR is registered, they are supposed to follow up to ensure the charge sheet is filed. People think FIR is done, their job is done. So if we as lawyers get involved with such organizations, give them these inputs, support them where required. For example, FIR copy is made available free of cost to the complainant. But charge sheet copy is not given to the complainant. It's only given to the accused. If the complainant wants it, you have to get it from the court through a lawyer. Now, most of these people may not even know that this is the process. So, unless the lawyer is going to, tell them, help them get a copy of the charge sheet, sit down with them, understand the facts, see if there are certain things in the charge sheet which have not been included, which should be included, which is an essential evidence of the crime. You go back with a protest petition to the court. You ask for additional, investigation for those specific things which have not been included in the charge sheet. That is how we will ensure. Right now, there are like these one, two, three cases at the most that we can cite where actually punishments have been given out in cases of cruelty to animals. And why? Is only because we are not able to follow up these cases in court, and we need lawyers who at least recognize that this is something that needs attention. And it's like I told the collectorate, I'll also tell you that it's not just about animals. People who abuse animals often don't stop there. They are very, very likely to harm a fellow human being. Research in criminology says people who abuse animals are 3 times more likely to be violent towards human beings. There are 3 examples I'll give. One is of Veerappan. Everybody knows Veerappan, the serial hunter and killer. He killed 2,000 elephants. But not just that, he killed 200 forest and wood species. When he started off, there's a documentary which you can watch on Hotstar. People said, oh, 100 elephants in the wild, it doesn't matter. The number is not going to really affect anything. And then when the 100 became 2,000 and along with that 200 police and forest officers being killed was a shock to the state of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. They had to form a special task force, spend crores of rupees, track Veerappan and his gang members for years to encounter them finally and kill them. The point I try to make is he started with killing one, two, three elephants, and it transgressed not just to more elephants being killed, but also killing of fellow human beings who would come in the way, who would take action, who would object to it, who would in any way be a risk to what he was doing, the racket he was running of the wildlife crime or the wildlife trafficking. So the point is, if we do not control these people who have a criminal mindset, criminal mentality in their early tracks, they'll become a monster which none of us will be able to control, and we have to spend so much endless resources for no wrong or reason. So it's for the safety of our society at large that we take violence and crimes against animals seriously. Another example is of a convict rapist and murderer called Amirul Islam. This case is from Kerala, where Amirul Islam has been convicted of raping and murdering Kerala law student Jisha. Before raping and killing Jisha, he raped and killed several dogs and goats from the same village. Nobody reported him to the police. And the Kerala High Court and also the Supreme Court opined that if this person was reported to the police, because back then Section 377 of UBC was applicable for sexual abuse or bestiality against animals, and that provided for up to life imprisonment for cognizable non-criminal offense. The court said that if this person was reported earlier, perhaps Jisha would be alive because he would be in jail. Another glaring example is of a agriculture department government employee from Bulandshahr district of Uttar Pradesh, neighboring Delhi border. Just last year, in August 2024, this agriculture department government employee was arrested for raping a 7-year-old minor girl. Just a few days before raping this 7-year-old minor girl, he raped a goat belonging to the same family. And I can give you so many such examples. And these examples exemplify the need to recognize the deep connection between crimes against animals and violence against humans. If we fail to recognize this deep-rooted connection, we would fail our society. We fail the safety and security of our own fellow human beings. Which is why I say again that you do not have to be an animal lover recognize that this is a serious problem which needs addressing, and that this is often only the beginning of the problem, but not where the problem is going to stop. A person who is, criminally inclined to do something is not going to stop at an animal. His efforts, his courage is only going to be emboldened by seeing that there is no action, that there is nothing that is being done against me. And there are several examples of course, hardened criminals from the United States of America, whether it's Ted Bundy or so many others. In fact, if you go to the website, the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI), which is equivalent to what we have as CBI here, the FBI on the homepage says they take serious or heinous cases of crimes against animals very seriously. And that such cases are transferred from the local police station to the FBI. Why? Because the FBI is again not a body which is run by an animal lover or run by anybody who loves animals, etc. But because they take these matters seriously, for they recognize this connection between crimes against animals and violence against human beings. The FBI said that amongst all the prisoners that they have in federal prison, convicted offenders of rape and murder, a whopping 100%, all of them have admitted in their profiling that they started with an animal. All 100% of them, all of this is available on the FBI, on their. So the point I'm trying to again make is, if the police, if the state does not realize that, as lawyers, it's our responsibility to push for the change that the society needs. Very often, lawyers have been the torch bearers for justice, for change, for so many changes that we see today in society, whether it's sexual harassment of women at workplaces, whether it's the law concerning that, whether it's considering 16-year-olds as adults while trying them in heinous cases of crimes like rape, murder, etc. Lawyers have been at the forefront of all of this. So I feel if we do genuinely want a safer society for all, of course these things have to be looked into. But one very important thing is charity begins at home. We start with us today, we reflect on our choices, we see what we can do first as individuals to cause the least possible harm. Somebody who is a vegan is not claiming to say that they cause no harm. Veganism is about causing the least or the most minimal harm possible to society, to animals, to environment, to everything. So as if you, and I hope you do someday, hopefully soon, to decide to go vegan, you would only be kind not just to animals, but to yourself, to your soul. I'm happy to discuss things that you may have to ask if we have the time. But that's all from my side. Thank you.
That was truly a thought-provoking session. Thank you very much. And I'm sure we all have something to take away from the session. For me personally, it would be that even minor lifestyle changes on my part may something that nothing. And even a small amount of involvement, passion, shoulder, and case can go a long way when it comes to prevention of bullying. I'm sure there will be some crowd as well. Questions. So I will throw the floor open for questions. If any, or if you have any. Just a minute, I have the mic with me.
We all speak about stray dogs, elephants, everything, but there is one disturbing thing is whenever I go to the French market, there is this exotic species of Brazilian shark runs with eyes at the end. So I would request the district representation to the government. If the fishermen when to catch this to throw it back to the sea. So this is a very exotic species.
So is this species under the Wildlife Protection Act?
I have read, Googled it. It is a rare species
Okay.
in the Indian Ocean.
Right. So if you share the details with me after the session, I can look it up and we'll definitely, if it's illegal, we'll definitely take it up with the authorities.
Yes,
For sure.
because it is not every day that I see a boat about fish. I'm
Right.
vegetarian.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I hope you will reflect on your choices after today's session. At least think about it, yeah.
but I would not want that species.
I understand your concern. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Okay, my question is a little bit of a technical question.
Sure.
See, your animal rights NGOs and the lot of you are
Right.
very well devoted to the conservation of local breeds,
Mm-hmm.
country specific, region specific, because they have an environment that is compatible with the climate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, currently in this assembly session, the Animal Breeding Control Protection and Compensation Bill has been passed, Act number 26 to 2020.
Right.
The deputy collectors at Mir, Ruby, and other municipalities have already notified certain breeds as dangerous.
Correct.
Now, one of the breeds technically which is thought to be banned from that particular because the breed specific legislation are mastiffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the local breeds, one of the rarest Indian breeds among mastiff is the Coupon mastiff called Cypro Cooper. I am a bit believe the conservation of local trees, but this particular legislation and the notified rules which have to come are going to create a situation wherein this breed will be extinct. It's a very rare breed. It has certain applications in sheepdog breeding.
Correct.
So how would one, like, as a lawyer, go about it? Would one go and like, give suggestions to the government banning the actual implementation of the legislation, or would one have it enacted and then come out with all the details, then striking down the provision?
Correct. So let me also, since we spoke about conservation of native breeds, please have a seat. It's also important to say that, and I'm not drawing a parallel here with what you said, but it is just something that came to my mind and I thought should be addressed. Jallikattu was legalized, Bullock races were legalized, Kamla was legalized, not just to conserve the tradition, but to conserve the Jallikattu bull breed, the bulls which are used for racing. So if breeds are going to be conserved, or species are going to be conserved, for them only to be abused, then it's my opinion, and it's an animal rights perspective on this, not a welfareist perspective, that it's better to then not have those species because it's like, for example, when I tell people that you should think about going vegan, people say, "Oh, सारी गाय चली जाएगी, गाय होगी ही नहीं." पर अगर आपको गाय चाहिए क्या क्योंकि आप उसका दूध ले सको so that the circle of abuse continues, then I might as well not have the cow at all. So if what you're saying about the Kumaon mastiff, I was not aware about this until now that this is a breed native to India. But if it is so, it would belong to a particular region, right? Kumaon mastiff. So which part of the country?
This is in Uttaranchal, in Tamil
Yeah.
Nadu.
So again, the side of the north belt, basically upper north belt, which we know what is the what are the temperatures in Uttarakhand as compared to what we have, say, in a coastal state like Maharashtra or Goa or Gujarat. So of course these breeds are not suitable for our climate anyway. If it's a Kumaon Mastiff, it would do well in that
My
region.
point is, the rules are actually notified and they can notify in India because the central government has already notified the chief secretaries to notify the rules.
So that was withdrawn. The aggressive breed circular was withdrawn by the central government because it lacked stakeholder consultation. And now the central government has done wide stakeholder consultation with veterinarians, with animal welfare organizations, with breeders, with everybody who's going to be impacted by a decision. And now it's in the works as to what should be banned on a pan India level. So, what you're saying Meerut, to my knowledge, has banned Rottweilers and Pitbulls. These two breeds have been banned by Meerut municipality. And which is right because why we are even supporting a dog breed ban is because these dogs are being bred for a particular purpose. Majority of these dogs are pushed into dog fighting. Not even less than 10% of these dogs end up in people's homes. These are large breed dogs. You can anyway not have them in flats, in apartments. They need a lot of exercise. They were there for a particular purpose. For example, even our Indian breeds like the Salukis that you have, or the uh, those very lean.
The motherboard hound.
Yes, yes, the hound, the Bengal hound. These again are native breeds to India, but can you have them in flat? Of course not. And we all are now moving, even Goa is a lot now into apartments and flats and that kind of a structure than those huge old houses, that kind of a thing. So when we are modernizing with society, if conservation is of a particular breed or species is going to only cause more pain and suffering to them, and the cycle of abuse is going to be never ending. Then I might as well not have that species. But again, coming to your question, you can as a lawyer definitely still send your suggestions to the central government because they're still consulting. Consultation is still. Anything else?
Do we have any further questions?
Okay, sure. Yes, yes.
I also read a lot about psychopathy. So,
Mhm.
if this movement could be introduced in schools and children taught the cruelty to even parents or PTA meetings that cruelty to animals leads to cruelty to human beings, like as a subject, it's a compulsory education, just like how children are instructed in yoga, religion, everything. So, if this movement could be started in every school and it should be taken, the initiative should be taken by the government. Like we have posters everywhere, or there are posters everywhere of politicians.
Mm.
There should be posters saying that cruelty to animals is wrong. Kicking a dog is wrong.
Yes.
So our children should be taught in school from kindergarten.
True, true.
My boy, one day he killed a frog and threw it to the water. He doesn't do it again. But this is, he thinks twice before even stepping on the ground. So
Right. Very good.
this is our culture is like I'm from a village. So my there are pythons behind. I stay in island. So my neighbor python came and swallowed her head. Just boiled a lot of food on his head. So this is the situation I'm living in. It's difficult to change people's mentality. So we can start with the children.
Correct. So let me tell you what PETA is doing here. We run a program called Compassionate Citizen. We do these CC, Compassionate Citizen workshops in schools, including government schools, municipality schools, where we impart compassion to children aged 8 to 14 years, which is the prime age when they can even understand what we are trying to explain. And it does not talk anything, not that talking about veganism to children is wrong, but they are not capable of making that decision when they are so young. It's not anything to do with veganism, but generally how people or children should be kind to animals, what they should do when they see an injured animal, or how they should respect a dog who's sleeping and not disturb the dog. Simple things. Not keep fish in tanks, not cage birds. Simple, simple, simple life lessons.
So that considers hobby.
Yes, yes. So those are already being imparted to children. We have a wonderful animatronic elephant called Ellie, who goes to schools, whose voice by Dia Mirza, the actress, and she talks to children of what her life was in a circus. Ellie the elephant, and she imparts compassion to children by telling them not to sit on an elephant, not to ride on an elephant, not go to zoos where elephants are caged. So those kind of things. So we are trying to, of course, inculcate compassion in children because when we start young, we have, the half battle is one right there. So I agree with you. It's very important to educate children, and that's something that we are constantly working on.
Yes, and a lot of, see, there are a lot of ills in our society. One is including capital punishment of children by teachers, which I'm very much against.
Right.
So even the teachers have to be taught compassion.
Correct.
So we can start. Now we have a small group,
Right.
but make representations to the government. When this movement started in civil society, I have a lot of friends who are dog lovers who feed the dogs. They are called mad. Germany will know a sister was not last time. So this is the general atmosphere of Goa. Goan society
No,
is
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I think we all feel oh, it's now only in our state. But it's everywhere. I think things are changing for good. Things are changing with time, and I'm hopeful that when we have more of this, like today we have so many lawyers who are present here. I'm hoping and I'm sure that they go and tell their colleagues about what they probably heard and learned today. And tomorrow, if they hear of a case, I'm sure they're going to pick up the phone on the DSPC and be like, hi, I'm up for volunteering for this case. Tell me what you need from me. So I'm hoping that that the speed of change will come, and it's already coming. It's not that it's not there. It's a little slow, so we all need to accelerate that pace.
you have high respect for lawyers, but I come from a society where my son is university oil merchant. So this is the stereotype of lawyers.
No,
So
no,
we
no,
don't need
that's not
lawyers,
how.
we need teachers.
No. It's not that. Lawyers have their own role to play, and teachers have their own role to play. I think we can't just look at lawyers with a particular prism because of what has been shown in movies or things like that. We have to, see, like I mentioned about the case from Delhi. What would you say to that lawyer who got that kind of punishment to this person who threw acid on a dog and that dog lost his eye? That's also a lawyer, right? So,
We need
correct. That's what I'm saying.
more
Of course, definitely. Thank you.
Very topic point forward. And now I'm going to pull rank and as compared to the event, we have to conclude with our question after session as we're running out of time. However, we have to extend our gratitude to our guest speaker for the day, and which I will call upon Advocate Shweta Kora. Please present the matter to our guest speaker. No function is complete. As well. With this, I will be calling upon my dear colleague, Advocate Prashila Loka.
Esteemed guests, members of the Goa High Court Bar Association, and distinguished attendees. On behalf of the Goa High Court Bar Association, I extend profound gratitude to all who contributed to the success of today's insightful session on the subject of animal rights. We are immensely grateful to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Meet Ashok, for delivering a compelling and thought-provoking presentation. Your expertise and unwavering commitment to animal rights have highlighted the pivotal role of legal advocacy in fostering justice and compassion for animals. Your insights have inspired us to reflect deeply in our responsibilities towards more human society. Our heartfelt thanks also goes to senior advocate Mrs. Norma Alvarez for sharing her invaluable perspectives which enriched our understanding of this critical subject. We express our sincere appreciation to my fellow colleague, the member of the Bar, Advocate Simon Korea, was actually moderating this session. To our our distinguished guests, participants, and attendees, both in person and joining us virtually, thank you for your active participation, insightful questions, and steadfast support. Your presence reflects shared commitment to advancing animal welfare through the framework of law. As we move forward, let us continue to champion compassion in action, advocating for the world where animals are treated equally and respectfully. Thank you once again for making this session a resounding success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you Rutu, for having me. So, plants speak of compassion and hope that we pursue. Thank you very much.
Went well.
Yes, of course, yeah. It's our job to plant seeds and then the seed will blossom. Okay, let's go.
Hi.